the thing she wants to not touch on are politics.
Right. Me too.
Yeah, I told her.
Okay, that's
Yep.
Yep. Kind of tired of that. So I'm glad we could do something not like that. And music is
Yeah.
a great alternative. So hooray.
Right.
absolutely.
Especially this type of music, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Welcome. Kachina Aimee, is that how I say it?
Kachina Aimee, that's it. You got it. Aimee is like the French way of
Aimee.
spelling. Yeah, Aimee, Kachina Aimee. You
Oh.
got it. Hi.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. I'm very happy to be doing this with you guys. So yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, another episode of Diametric Convergence with Andrew and Brandon as your host, and we have a very special guest, like we said, Kachina Aimee.
You got it. Yeah.
She does wonderful music. She's a harpist, pianist, and she's a singer. She does so much more, composer. Please tell us a little bit about yourself, Kachina.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I was born to some very creative parents and travelers. My father was a writer and he did really interesting workshops on past life. My mother is a spiritual healer as well, and she also writes as well. She's working on some books right now. Either way, they're both very, very cool people. And so I was raised with that. And from the time I was young, I always adored piano. And so I started piano at 13, was classically trained, really enjoyed that. Thought I was going to be a concert pianist and like kind of started on that road. But then ultimately I had this, it wasn't that long after my father died that I felt that there was something missing. And I started to improvise and to kind of compose music and delve into that world, which is a very fun place to be. Thank you. And sorry, my toddler might be coming in and out at certain points. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me in terms of what. So that's kind of my joy is to make music.
Yeah. Wow, I think your music is incredible. Andrew, did you check it out? Did you get a chance to check it out?
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good stuff.
What did you think?
I like it. I mean, it's emotional. It's
Thank you.
Like having just heard it like not too long ago. But that's like the best way I can describe it. Emotional, little ethereal for some of it, but definitely, enjoyable. I think.
Thank you.
Andrew, what does ethereal mean? I don't know.
I mean, it's kind of like it's always so hard for me to describe the word, like to define the words I use, but it's kind of like, like worldly or kind of like almost a spiritual or kind of, has like that, that kind of mystical feeling to it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I feel that way too, for sure.
Yep. So I'm picking up a bit of an accent from you. Where are you from, Kachina?
So good question. So my parents are English, and I was actually born in the States and raised primarily in the States, but I was also living over. We kind of would go back and forth, and I was living over in the UK as well. Spent time growing up some of the time with my grandmother, and then I was living over there, and I only just recently moved back to Hawaii because I had my first child, and I thought, well, this is kind of a beautiful place to be, really. So yeah, I've got that kind of transatlantic sort of strange accent, but yeah,
it kind of like comes and goes. I thought that was just interesting because I can pick up like the little like things like very English in the accent. So I was curious because they're like feels like it transitions like back and forth kind of fluidly. So that's cool.
That's right.
Awesome. So
and you said the States. What state? or states?
Oh, yeah. So I'm currently in Hawaii right now on the island of Kauai.
Nice.
And that's
And
where my mother is living and my sister. So it's nice to be with family, new
is that
family
the
again.
only state? Is that the only state you lived in?
No, I mean, actually, my mother met my father and she was about to move to Australia, and then she met him and, you know, romantic and all of that. And so she followed him over to New York where he was working, upstate New York. And so my sister was born up there.
Oh.
And then they split up and my mother moved us to Boulder in Colorado. So, you know, I could see that, you know, it's a really funny link there. And then my mother basically just cannot stand the cold. So then she moved us to Hawaii. So there you go.
Right on.
That's a
Beautiful
good
places,
move.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, I'm very great. I'm very lucky. Definitely.
Wow. That's a cool journey. I'm sure there's been twists and turns along the way, and that's what it's all about, right?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You're down here. You're having the human experience. It's going to be up and down and left and right, all sorts of. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. It's and especially now, but you know, I think music can keep people pushing through it. Like, I just found your music randomly, probably from a link in Boulder, because I'm in Denver, and I know a lot of people in Boulder as well. So but I'm really thankful that I did find your music, because it's, you know, sometimes I'll put it on loop and just listen to it over and over, and it's almost hypnotizing in a way. But in the best way possible, because it's such like that magical feeling. And you talk about fairies a lot, and I do feel like the fairy energy with your music.
Wow. Thank you. I wish I had more songs, to be honest, because I've only got those 3 recorded, and then I had a baby. But yeah, just, you know, when I was living in the UK, I've always felt very connected to the Avalon and the kind of priestess and even the monks, and even all in the cultures, especially the Irish culture and any of the Gaelic cultures. You've got this really beautiful connection that the people have to this kind of, you know, in between realm of fairies and elves. And, you know, in Ireland they call it the Tuatha De Danann, which is, and I'm probably botching that pronunciation, but it's this respect as well and sacredness that they hold for these beings. I mean, it's definitely been lost as time has gone on, but there are still people who are connected to that, which I personally found it so inspiring. And so, you know, my favorite artist is Enya. So, you know, she's a huge influence. And then my classical training, but it's just that sort of connection to, the unseen things that make you feel, you know, and that connection to different realms, you know, whatever you want to call it, I guess.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's really cool.
And yeah.
When did you start all of this? You kind of went into it, I guess, with your parents and just kind of growing up in it. I even saw your baby on Facebook playing, I think, piano with you or something.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. It's so cool to see, though. I'm sure you were probably similar, just always around it and picked it up pretty easily, huh?
It's kind of, I mean, my grandmother played piano and I was very close with her. And, you know, I'm not going to lie, I do agree. I think for all of us as humans, whether we're like different on the scales to that, we all can feel so much with music. And to me, it makes this life bearable, because this life is hard and there's a lot of darkness and there's a lot of light too, though. So it certainly helps me process things. And to me, I sort of, you know, I was doing the piano and I started to compose with that. And then I was having these vivid dreams about the harp. And I knew I had to get a harp. And then about 3 years ago, it was 3 years ago now, I just went and bought this Celtic harp and kind of because I play piano, it was quite easy to teach myself. It took a couple of lessons, and then I just have been doing it on my own. But there was a vibration that the harp has, just a purity that it had. And to me, it felt almost like a meditation when I started to compose with that instrument. I mean, the same with piano. And that was about 3 years ago. But the composing, I suppose I've been doing for about 5-6 years now. And it ties in with the poetry that I write as well. Those end up being song lyrics a lot of the time. But to me, yeah, like I said, it's like a meditation. And it's just very special for me. And I do enjoy sharing it as well.
Well,
yeah, we definitely have a talent for it. So yeah, I think that's really, really good for people like you to share those talents with the world. I think it can make things a little bit better. Because one of the songs I like that you did, I was kind of looking around the YouTube a little bit, and you did a cover of Carol of the Bells.
Oh yeah.
I saw that only because it's like my favorite, I guess, Christmas song, if you want to call it, because the first time I ever heard it was in Home Alone, the movie.
Oh yeah.
And like ever since then, like I just like every time like I hear it, like I try to explore as many like variations of it. So I mean, I'd be kind of interested to see you put some vocals to that, and that's what I was kind of looking for, because I like the sound of your voice and the tone and all that. And I was like really interested to see it. I mean, I was kind of, I don't want to say disappointed, but I mean, I would have liked to see like, like to hear some lyrics there, but the way he played it was still really good, like beautiful and everything too. So I wanted to point that out because that's one of my favorite, I guess, I don't know, holiday songs you call it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
thank you.
That's good stuff.
It is a magical song, in my opinion. Well, a lot of some of the beautiful traditional Noel songs from this time of year, because you can definitely, I think everybody has that time when they're like annoyed by Christmas music and like, excuse me, it's November, can you just not play that? Because let's be honest, some of it is particularly irritating. So
just bores that hole into your brain.
Oh god, yeah. And it's just well, that's a whole other subject of so much music that's pushed forth that is just not music and is just noise. That's a whole other subject though. But to reach out, there are some very special, in my opinion, songs from this time of year from different cultures around, and that particular one, I think it could either be it could be Czech, a Czech carol, I think it could, from Czechoslovakia or Czech Republic. So yeah, it's just retained this I don't know, magic, I guess. I know I use that word a lot, but there's something special about it when you hear it. So maybe I will add some lyrics. Voice.
No, there's definitely, I don't know, just like just the sound of it, how it's played. Ukrainian composer for that one, by
Ukrainian, the way. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. I knew I was getting that wrong, so I appreciate that.
Yep. No, just like, I don't know, just the sounds of it and how it's played. I don't know. It's always just found a special place in my heart. So I appreciated seeing that on your YouTube.
Yeah. Speaking of those type of songs, like the one that's Calonlan. How do you say that, Kachina?
Oh, can you spell that again?
Calonian, I believe.
Oh, Calalan.
L-A-N.
So that Calalan, that is actually a Welsh, because my mother's side of the family is from Wales originally, and so my grandmother was Welsh. So we have that, and the Welsh are definitely renowned for their connection to their singing and their beautiful, deep voices as well. So that was something that when I was in the UK, I did actually do some voice training, and I was starting to study some of that, the Welsh music, and it's very tricky pronunciation a lot of the time. So if you ever go to Wales, you'll if you ever go to Wales, you'll notice that. But so that's Calolan, that particular song, which is another one of their Calolan.
And that means pure heart, right?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And I read that they played it at the rugby matches quite often. Is that true?
Yes, they will. They will do. They will do. Yeah.
Well, that's a beautiful song too. I really love your version of it. I've listened to a couple others, and I love it. Yeah, it's great.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, so what's like the driving force behind like your music? I guess where do you draw inspiration from, or what goes into that process when you're creating your music?
Good question. It's it's really funny because I ended up at one point thinking once I realized I didn't want to be a concert pianist, wanting to go to school and studying composition. And I started to delve into that process and ultimately realized it was very formulaic and sort of mathematical, the way they teach you how to compose. And I did not find it inspiring at all. So, it was a bit of a process to begin with, because I would be out a lot of the time. This would happen when I would be out in nature, refueling and connecting and grounding, because that was something my mother really instilled in me. She would always, if we weren't in school, she would take us off on hikes, a lot of the time in Boulder, I remember growing up, or here in Hawaii, or in the UK as well. And so that was kind of instilled in me. So I would be out in nature and I would just hear this music and these notes, and they would just kind of come into my head. And at the time, I'm really glad that I had a phone on me, because ultimately they came so quickly. I would have to hold it in my head as best I could and just do a little voice memo on my phone, because oftentimes if I didn't do that, they would just disappear. And it was like, oh, okay, the moment the window's gone, it came for a moment and it's gone. So that's how I ultimately started. And then it would be somewhat of a meditation. I would go out again and kind of fiddle with words would then come. It's usually the melody first and then the words, or sometimes the words would be written by themselves. And I'd later realize that particular melody went with these particular words. And it always felt very, very natural, and just, I couldn't kind of force that state. I knew it would come. So there was definitely a trusting process of going out and calming down and grounding out. And then it would just sort of, come through a little bit like a breeze or the wind or whatever you want to kind of call it. So, yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Nothing, I don't think anything that great can be forced like that. It has to be nurtured and things and such.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
And you mentioned about what I find inspiring. Well, definitely, I've also always had very sort of lucid and vivid dreams as well, where I would be a lot of the time flying, and there would be these sensations and feelings that are not easily described on this earthly plane, in my opinion. However, some of the words that would come to me and the way that they would come together, the way that I write poetry is similar. The words just sort of come really quickly, and it does in a sense almost feel like channeling, because I'll write a bunch of stuff down and then kind of look back on it and like, whoa, where did a little bit like, where did that come from? Although I can feel where it came from. So so that, my dreams have always been an inspiration, and absolutely 100% nature. Nature is just, that's where I feel like you can just allow that, whatever it is, that ethereal energy to come through.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing kind of for me too. Like, cause I do writing, like I write things here and there. Definitely poetry and like fiction works, stuff like that. And a lot of my stuff does too come from my dreams. I just draw so much inspiration from that. I think it's pretty amazing, because I dream in like story format. It's kind of weird. Like there's all these like arcing storylines and things that happen in my dreams. Like, I gotta catch that, write it down, have like a notebook beside me, like beside my bed at all times, just for that kind of stuff. So that's really cool. I think that's nice to hear other people have that same kind of I guess inspiration. So that's cool.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah.
I feel like it's it's a flood of channeling as well when I write. And it all just comes out so quick. You literally write a whole poem in 5 minutes or less.
Yeah.
It's wild how, but you have to trust it, like you said. It's really cool. It's you can get better at it as you tap into it more and allow, I believe.
That's exactly it. It's about us getting out of the way, in a sense, our humanness. It's like, okay, just go take the back seat. Let this stuff come through.
Yeah, because I did like this a couple of experiments a while ago where I just did these poems where I just wrote the first thing that came to my mind and just whatever flowed. I didn't even like question it. So I didn't say like, oh, should I put that down? I just put it out, and it actually turned in some pretty cool stuff. So like getting out of your own way can be kind of nice. So that's kind of where I continue on with my own process. Just don't judge what you're doing, just get it out there, and then you can always go back and revise where you need to. But I mean, the most important part is just getting it out.
Absolutely. And I think also just understanding as well that we are all very unique, the way that things come forward. That was one of the issues I had when I tried to go to school for composition, because, and it's the same thing you get with, your regular schools. It's trying to get every single child, every single person to do something in the exact same way. And I just, ultimately we all, we all have to kind of just find our own way, as cliche as that sounds, and foster it in our own way, because otherwise there's that sort of, exactly, trying to fit into a different box that really you're not meant to go near.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. Because that's a big thing I'm a part of too, like as far as education and making sure you're not trying to fit everybody into that same box or categorize them all the same or make them do the same stuff. Like everybody has their own way, their own style or kind of path that they have to take, and you can't just lump everybody in the same group. Like it has to be like individualized, not to an extent where everybody's like taking different classes, but like to incorporate as many different learning styles and personalities as you can for that. So I think that's probably very important to keep in mind.
We're all on our own journey, right? I mean, the path is different for all of us, and sometimes we end up in a similar place and sometimes we end up in a whole different place, and it's not up to us to decide where anybody else goes. The only thing we can do is focus on ourselves and be a great example of being ourselves, and we don't want people to be us, we want them to be them. So that's pretty cool.
It's quite an undoing, because I don't, there are so many ways that we have been, taught, and I don't want to say brainwashed, but really I do want to say brainwashed into going so far from the actual self that we are, feeling like we're not okay and how we are is somehow wrong in some sense, and coming back to undoing all of that programming, and then the ancestral stuff, just how we've come so far as where we're at in the world right now. All of that, we're sensitive beings. We have, and this is where the emotions, just in my opinion, come back to it, and finding stuff that makes your heart feel open, and music, anything, if you really think about it, things that are creative, that are coming from that beautiful place, and, haven't been perverted by, whatever mainstream avenues. Right. When we're finding that, it's freeing, and it's how we can just sort of, in a sense, thrive on this planet with that principle, I guess.
Right. It's almost like reestablishing a connection that we have lost over so many years and generations. Like it just, you're feeling a connection that you didn't know was there, because it's been worked out of you. So I think music, any creative stuff, music, art, writing, whatever it might
Dance,
be, like
yeah.
dance,
Mm-hmm.
dance, singing, any of that kind of stuff. I think is just that emotionality to it is what provides us that just a reconnection to the
That's right.
natural world, spiritual world, however you want to
Mm-hmm.
get there. Like
Mm-hmm.
we are so I don't know we're so estranged from it and separated and apart from it these days. So I don't think a lot of people don't
Amen.
really know how to like process that kind of stuff either. Like, so they're like confused
Well,
sometimes.
I believe it touches our soul, and sometimes we're afraid when our soul gets touched in that
There you
way.
go. Yeah.
Like a lot of people are afraid of love. When they feel love, they get scared and run away. Including myself, I've done that many times. So, yeah, but we have to embrace when it comes, and sometimes for me, that's through music. Uh, and yeah, I mean, for the soul, do you feel, Kachina, that a lot of your soul goes into your songs? And yeah, and if so, like, how do you believe that works? How can you pass a piece of your soul to the listeners
There's a scene
if
from
you
both
want to?
plays. Just read it and it speaks to me.
I like that question. So, you know, in a sort of simple, not nutshell, but when you think of the soul, and then you think of the human self and the human ego and the human emotions and the human rawness that we all experience, because we're here on this earth. Like what you said about fostering, or maybe it was you, Brenna, who said about fostering that connection to, because to me, the soul, and when you're feeling that beautiful love and connection through whatever avenue, whether it be in nature, whether it be with another person, whether it be through music, whether it be through dance, when you're feeling that beautiful connection and pureness, to me, that is your soul. It's your soul in the same sense that when you're in that space of feeling that, just it's complete love and complete connection and possibility. It's lack of any of the human, basically, but it's coming through your human body. To me, when you're feeling that, you're sitting with your soul, and your soul is sitting with you. And so to me, I believe that we are all down on this planet to foster that connection. And it's tricky because sometimes we feel it and then it goes away, and then we get into fear, and I want it back, I want to covet it, I want to and that's not, and it always will come when you let everything go. And I think as well, we're down here not to necessarily always be in that place of feeling that soul energy. We're down here as well to experience the heartache and the intensity of being a human as well. But I do believe that ultimately we are all down here to share our gifts, because we each feel our gifts from our soul in different ways. Because what you had said about, sharing your soul, or whatever that comes through, I think that you'll find we're all on our path to find that connection with our soul. And when we start finding it and start receiving that love and letting it come through whatever way it comes through, whatever gift is unique to us, I think it's about working through the programming of, because we all go through that, including myself, of who am I to share? Who am I? Well, I'm so small, who am I to share this stuff? It's really not very good, is it? Yeah, all of that stuff, right? Because we all will feel that. We're down here, we all feel that. So it's about coming to, okay, yes, I feel that. I have bad days still, and yet this is the magic of my soul, and I'm going to share it because that's what I'm here to do. And it can be scary to accept that sometimes, but
We are going to interrupt real quick so you can experience Kachina's gift for yourself. Here's a song she does titled Celtic Songs of Evenstar, Mossy Roads. I think you'll find it quite moving. Enjoy.
Some days when you feel your feet dragging along, you can't help but hum that old happy held song. Walk with me, would you? We'll gather a throng of fairies and pixies. The list is quite long. You're on the road, we're on the right road. Gather your loved ones so sweetly and close. Go play faster than grow. This news cannot wait now, oh no, oh no. The trees, they will guide us and show us the way. They hold our hands tightly to brighten our way. The stories they'll sing now for years to come by. But happy, I promise, contented I sigh. You're on the road, we're on the right road. Gather your loved ones so sweetly and close. Go play faster than grow. This news cannot wait now, oh no, oh choosing this path now more rocky and grey, unsure how it wind out, confused so I lay, deadpan in the middle, awaiting a sign. She flew right beside me, a wish and a shine. You're on the road, we're on the right road. Gather your loved ones so sweetly and close. Go play faster than grow. This news cannot wait now, oh no, oh
Yeah.
That's your gift, right? I mean, your part of your gift to me is helping people find that part of their soul. Would you agree? I mean, music does that to me all the time, and you have a gift through your music, I believe.
Thank you. Well, it's that thing of I think we're all helping each other in whatever ways, even if it's like a bad experience. But yeah, when we're sort of consciously coming from that place of, because that soul side of us wants everybody to thrive in that pure energy and wants everybody to feel that connection with their soul, you know? And so it's about just, yeah, like I said, allowing that to happen and working through the human parts of ourselves that either feel the lower emotions of jealousy or competition or even lack and fear. And, oh, come on, everybody needs to somehow get to this place because otherwise it's all bad, you know? And like, it's like overcoming
if we don't
that.
worry enough, if we don't worry this whole bunch, then everything's going to go bad. It's like the more we worry, the more we're hurting ourselves and others. So we have to always kind of bring it back to love and not fear.
Exactly. And I also just want to add there that when you do end up going into fear and those lower emotions, which are going to happen, it's an intense time on the planet right now, in my opinion. I think in a lot of people's opinions, but it's that understanding that it's okay to have that fear. And hey, look at that, music or whatever your go-to happens to be can help soothe that and help you work it through your body and not necessarily feel like you have to get rid of it. Because I think when we have those emotions, we can be very judgmental of ourselves and think, oh, I got to get rid of this emotion. I got to, get it out. I want to run away from it. But we can use different tools to help us process it. Music, yeah, is great for that.
That's so true. You have to embrace or just be aware of the fears. And usually I'm very aware, and I try to always use them and flip them around as a strength and somehow, like unlocking the cheat code or something to that nature. But always using it to push me in the right direction. I think a lot of people do. We have to keep telling people, like you said, that the fears are going to come, and we have to learn how to work through them.
Well, I would, and in addition to that, I would gonna take it a step further in terms of how can you not put your soul into these things. Like, I think you at least for me, when I'm doing it, like that's where it comes from. Basically, like all the words and feelings and we have to put on to your work, you have to access it from somewhere. So I mean, and I think that whoever it is creating, as long as you're doing something you feel compelled to do, because I know for me at least, and I'm sure it's probably the same for a lot of musicians and artists, is you feel just being compelled to make something. You have that creative spirit, or even the creative soul in you, where you feel like you have to do this. And when you're doing that, you don't really have a choice. Like it's gonna be there one way or the other. And I think that's a lot of the times when it actually is present, because there are other people who do it, for other reasons. Like, oh, I want to make some money, so let's write a book or make a movie, or paint some pictures. And that's not the greatest way to make money, but I think there's a lot of people who do that who don't have like that purity or that pure sense of need to do it. So it's not always present, but I think that's when you feel it, especially like at the end of like a certain song or a story or a poem, you feel like this certain, like a feeling, kind of like an emptiness, like you want, like you just lost something. You want to get it back, so you kind of try to find it again, or go to something else, see if it's there.
Fullness.
You can,
full after.
Full. I mean, some people, depending on what you read or interact with, I guess it can be a number of emotions. Like I was just one example, I guess. Sometimes you feel that feeling. Sometimes you feel that. Yeah. Sometimes you feel the fullness of, hey, like you're just like filled up because you just all these emotions and like a. Depending on whatever, I guess the artist who created that wanted people to feel. So I think that's, at least that's like kind of my view on it in terms of those, like that question. Just, you can't not put your soul into it.
Well, and if you don't mind, can I just touch on what you said about that feeling of the need of like, I completely, I do think that the soul has a calling. We're all down here, and sometimes, yes, we're in that beautiful space where we're just receiving whatever that is. And then at other times, you're kind of working with your human self because you feel this need and like, I need to do this. And yet then you're struggling with all the reasons why perhaps the lower emotions of I can't, or this is like too hard, or distrust. And so I think we all work with that at some point as creatives of this feeling of sort of fighting within yourself about it and against that need. And also, I'll even take it a step further in the sense of, whether or not you believe in reincarnation. I personally do, and my father did work around that. We've had many lives where we've been creative in the past and we were persecuted for it. So there's that fear, that deep fear level as well.
So true.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm definitely, I buy into that, the reincarnation. I think, the soul, I mean, if you want to take it back to that, soul is like this eternal thing. So I think a lot of that is just shared feelings of the human experience. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. And I feel also the male and female energies, we've all been male and female once in our life. It just keeps cycling and cycling. So tap into both. I mean, there's not a wrong thing, but be yourself and enjoy the body and the life, you were given. So,
Yep.
Exactly.
So, Kachina, where does your music take you? Do you like where do you want it to take you, or where is it going? If I can ask that.
Well, this is where I love how we're all so different because, okay, so for me personally, when I do my music, like I said earlier, it's a bit like a meditation. Not always. Sometimes I'll sit down and I just need to process something and I'll be very angry and by the end of it I feel a lot better. And other times it comes in this beautiful soft feeling where it's kind of like sunlight kind of inching its way in the morning, like going past it. It comes in that beautiful way. And the feeling I get is just that utter feeling of peace and contentment. What did we try and reach through, meditation usually? And sometimes it's a big struggle. And then in terms of other people listening to my music, a lot of the feedback I've gotten from different people is all very, very heartwarming in the sense that a lot of people have said different things to me. Oh, that made me think of when I was a little child, and I remember just feeling so free and happy. And other people, quite a few people have said things like that, which is very heartwarming to me because that's also what I've personally felt when I've experienced. Because to me, even what you just said about the vast human experience, and we're all these different players, we're also all connected by that beautiful love and creative energy. So whatever way it's coming through, to me, it feels like home, and I have experienced other artists. And to me, sometimes when I'm listening to Enya, I just feel like, oh, I've just come home, that beautiful feeling. So for it to bring any comfort or joy, that's all I would wish. I don't need it to bring anything specific to anybody. Just, but it's very heartwarming if it brings any joy or comfort or love or even help processing if somebody's having a hard time.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's very fitting because I was really curious because your name is not one I've heard before, and I just looked it up, and I think what the meaning is spirit is what I'm seeing. It's Native American in origin. So I think that's your parents did a good job in naming you with that, and that kind of I think a lot of times that I don't know if like the name manifests or if it just somehow finds you, but I think that's really good job by them there. So wanted to point that out.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like I've grown into it a bit more.
Yep. I mean, it takes a while sometimes.
Yeah. Very true. Very true. No, but I'm grateful for the name.
My name. My name. It's big.
Well, and I'd actually be curious to know the naming, the meanings of both of your names. Because they go back a long time as well. So, a very long time.
Mine is my name is Andrew, so it means a man. So it does. It's a biblical thing, though. You can look that up. Huh?
It means a man.
Yeah, that's what it means, a man.
Well,
in the shortest sense of the definition, yeah. I'm always curious about name meanings. That's kind of one of the things I have like a natural inclination towards learning. I'm just kind of think it's interesting the way people choose to name their children. If they have any thought behind it, I mean, a lot of names are family names, but I mean, sometimes people put a lot of thought into how they name their kids, so it always interests me.
Oh, it's fascinating. Yeah, I agree. It's fascinating.
Well, yeah, because I do a lot. Because I mean, when I'm making characters, they're very specifically named. So I figure, is it the same with other people in real life? So I always look it up to see. Oh, yeah, that person's name matches their personality.
Names are cool. Sometimes when I'm not able to pronounce them, and then people are like, "Oh, just say K or say A, or I'm like, no, I want to say your name. Help me learn how to pronounce it so I can say it. You know?
I totally hear you on that, because I remember my mom was always so kind of like, you know, I mean, she gave me a very difficult name for people to pronounce, to be fair. So sometimes it's been irritating, but at other times, you know, it is important to, because, you know, to when you meet somebody to really, yeah, I agree with you. Get it right, in a sense, get it how it's meant to be said, because it's important. Yeah. It's their name.
Right. Right. I worked with a girl named Zulika, and that was very hard for people to pronounce. So she just told everybody to call her Z, and I'm like, no, we'll get it right.
We'll get it right. Absolutely.
So the meaning of my name, I'd never really known, but it's English origin, and it's cool. It says like crow or little raven, so I guess that's pretty cool. I've had a lot of spirit bird like ravens around me and crows, so that probably makes sense. I do. They're very smart, like me.
There you go. Yeah, ravens are very have a lot of magical meaning in a lot of different cultures, and a lot of people will say it's bad and have tried to say that it's negative, but I disagree with that.
You can find good and bad in everything, like the swastika, for instance, you know. So there's always going to be that, you know, good and evil battle, and there's good on this side, and some people think a rabbit foot is lucky, and some don't, and some are afraid of $2 bills and other things. So
I know, it's so funny.
Yeah, I always
or like my mom.
You know, the positive.
No, sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Absolutely. The superstitions are hilarious. My mother, you know, if I spill salt, I have to throw it over my left shoulder. Like, seriously.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah, that's someone told me to give this guy a $2 bill or $50, and he just like flew 10 feet back, not even 6 feet, but 10 feet.
Wow.
Like that. He said, he yelled at me and said, "You better go tell them if they ever do that again." So, so I don't mess around anymore, because that guy he almost had a heart attack. So
dang.
Shout out to Houston.
Oh, wow.
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah.
So back to the music a little bit here. I'm just curious, when you're making music, do you want to do more like original stuff? Or I mean, obviously you've done a couple covers, because I saw also one of my more favorite songs I like listening to when I'm in more of a mindful state of being. You did a cover of the Skyrim song with on the, I forget which one it was.
Is it the dragon one, the Dragonborn?
Yeah. Yep, the Dragonborn comes. I listened to that quite a bit, because that's actually that whole soundtrack from that game is quite amazing, actually. But yeah, stuff like that. I mean, obviously as a cover, but obviously you have a lot of also original stuff here as well, I think, right? So is there like a balance you'd want to do, or do you enjoy doing more originals than covers or anything like that? Or is it kind of just a feeling type deal, like whatever it is, like it just depends on what it is?
Well, I think that, you know, I definitely have been influenced by different artists. I love Celtic traditional music. I love some of the Gaelic music, especially Irish music. Mm-hmm. You know, like I said, Enya is a huge thing. So, you know, taking inspiration from all those people, it's so much fun to do covers of music that I think is, you know, gorgeous. And that particular one that you mentioned, I agree that the Skyrim, I don't play video games personally, but my ex did, and when he played that song to me, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing, you know. Wouldn't have ever thought that I would hear that on a video game. And yet I understand that there's a lot of people who do compose for that and are very talented, and you know, that just had some magic in it. So yeah, I learned that, and anything that I feel plucks at my heart, I definitely want to learn it. I definitely don't learn cover songs just for the sake of it and just for putting it out there, so that I do that, because that just, you've got to be connected to it. You've got to, you know, in my opinion, like I won't just do what's popular, because, you know, and
Sure. Yeah, definitely, because I mean, I'm kind of the same way, because I recently did my DNA thing, and my like top 2 or 3 is like you know, like English, Scottish background. There's Welsh in there too. Obviously, my last name being Gibson is a very English type. That in the UK region is a very, you know, common surname. So I always feel like that kind of connection too. I think there's a lot of like you said, the ancestral connections, and that kind of, and like those just being instilled within the soul and the body and all that kind of stuff. I think is kind of why I'm drawn to that stuff too.
Beautiful. Oh, well, there you go. Isn't that, you know, meet people everywhere and find connections with them. It's pretty amazing. I just want to quickly, I'm probably going to have to get going in the not too distant future, because my little Bubba girl.
Cool.
But so I just wanted to put that out there now before I forget.
No problem. We can start wrapping up.
Let's find. Yeah, well, let's find some. Let's find a point to this. Is there a point?
A point?
Just kidding. But
spread the love, man.
Kidding.
It's always the point. Is spreading the love. Highlighting, you know, the emotions and feelings where they should be highlighted, and I think spotlighting creations like this and people who create like Kachina does. I think that's kind of the whole point of this one, if you want to put a point on it.
Well, and to add to that as well, this has been it's been a fun conversation. It's been a fun connection. It's, you know, energetically, we've shared some really fun topics and space on stuff. And it's all, you know, I think we're all just trying to meet each other and, you know, in different ways, meet each other on that love and that creativity.
Yeah. Just finding people you share interests and connections with and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of really the point of a lot of stuff, is just that. Yeah, exactly what you said.
Yeah, and I was kind of referring to famous Bill Hicks scene where he speaks about it all being just a ride, and it's a choice between fear and love. And I think that's the most beautiful thing. I also think, you know, when you're being creative and kind of stepping on that ledge that you have to step on to create this type of music or anything in the creative realm, you're putting yourself out there. And I just think it's really cool how far people go off that ledge or get close to that ledge and push themselves and just are free and they have no resistance to making something beautiful. And I think, you know, more people can learn from that. And people that say they're not creative, maybe just try something creative. And for instance, like this podcast was the first thing I kind of put out to the world along with Andrew, and he's done a book and things. So and I've always put my poetry out there. But I just respect people that put themselves out there and let whatever comes back. Thank you.
Yeah.
Beautifully said, guys. Well, both of you.
Yeah, so I'm definitely looking forward to listening to more of your music, because I just only got like a brief introduction. So I'm hopefully keep adding to your library, because I'd like to see where your journey takes you.
Oh, absolutely. And thank you both for having me for this conversation, and love what you guys are doing. I've looked at a few of the some of the subjects that you guys have done, and it just is a really beautiful kind of open energy that you guys have, and I think that that's really wonderful. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing, where can people find you to listen to your music?
So sweet. Yeah. So I do have, on my website, I have a music section on my website, KachinaAimee.com. And I'm also on all the kind of major sort of, not major, but, most common. I'm on Apple and Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Play, and then of course YouTube as well. And yes, I'm kind of getting back in the swing of things, so hopefully have an album in the works very soon.
Nice. Yeah, I'll
We'll
be
put
looking
the
forward to
links
that.
in. Yeah, we'll put the links in the description, and we really appreciate you being on, and keep doing amazing work. I really love your work. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brandon and Andrew. It's been lovely to speak with you guys. And have a beautiful rest of the week. Or it's weekend, isn't it? God, I get confused with the days.
They're all the same now.
Starts on Sunday,
I know.
right?
Last day of the
There
week.
you go. Yeah.
Depending on what calendar you go by. But yeah, absolutely. So yeah, same to you. Like, enjoy it. And hopefully we get to speak again sometime soon.
That would be wonderful.
Stay beautiful.
Fantastic. Yep.
All the best, you guys. Aloha from Hawaii.